Hey guys, Crunch here. It's been a while since the last video. Wanted to change things up a little bit today and cover a video on prefabs. Most of what I've released so far has been based around the maps and nitrogen, and at this point in maps for A19, I've kind of gotten stuck in the prefab world, which I really enjoy, but it does take a while. But I've perfected a lot of, not perfected, but improved for myself a lot of the tools and methods to get the maps, to get larger 10K or 10K maps, 8K maps together a little bit quicker, from when I first did, with a lot more variety. Just generally better maps that perform, perform well. There's been some changes, like I said. Compo Pack. I don't want to go into a big thing about Compo Pack, but it's, needless to say, it's changed quite a bit. So I've locked versions there, and I go through a lot of the new stuff that those guys are working on, and I might grab them, but I'm keeping a lot of the copies that I trust and I know that work. Then I'll update them, and I have been updating them, which is part of the reason for doing this video today. I have a method that I use that I've discussed with a bunch of people on Discord and in the forums on, for building sets. I'm doing train sets and roads, sets of buildings for camps and army bases, those types of things, casinos and fun areas and, downtown areas. There's quite a lot that's already available that's been built, that just really needed some tuning and some tweaking, plus a lot of other work that I've gotten that's just really high quality, especially Top Minder's set. This is just great work in there, to kind of use those sets to their full potential. I've kind of extended them out and just done additions of each of them. I try to keep the originals in. The other big source for A19 has been you guys. So many people have submitted prefabs that they've done, good POIs that they've done, that they've asked me to put into the maps, and I love it, guys. Thank you so much. I have so much to work with this season. In particular, NL Black Eagle, his set from his maps. It's the largest, greatest prefab set just ever. It's based off of one map, and if you haven't had the chance to play any of his stuff, it's just incredible. So I'm doing a lot of adaptations there. It's hard to go from prefab to prefab when there's hundreds of them. So, because I work a lot in sets, I use something I call a frame. I've just made some changes to it recently. And again, it's a very basic thing, but it's really helpful. I can show you how to make one, and I can also show you, basically what it's used for here. So if you're not familiar with Pile's prefab editor, I'll put a link for it below. I would definitely get to know this tool. I wouldn't enjoy prefabbing without it. It allows me to work pretty quickly and consistently. So you're definitely going to want to start there. So basically what we're going to do is build a frame that we can work inside, just basically a workspace that will remain static, so you can add or remove basically anything from it. And it'll always stay the same size until you're ready to, until you've completed the work that you're doing and you're ready to get it ready for play. So you can see from this one here, from the number of pixels, this is a gigantic frame. This is what I'm working in today. Depending on your memory, this can cause, when they're this size, this is a pretty large pocket of air. This can really cause your system to slow down. It'll run through for editing, but it takes its time saving. It's totally worth it for the first few steps, because once you get inside and get everything saved, it runs like normal. It's just the beginning and the end. I've got a good way of cutting this off when we're done with the work, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these. So you just basically go new prefab. I'm going to do a really small one for this demonstration, and then we'll go back and we'll use this larger one that I have created here. So you're basically just going to go, whatever you want, a size that whatever you're trying to work on is going to fit in. So we're just going to do 10, 10, 10. So we've got this. Now in the editor, you're going to look. I've got mine set up here left-handed because I'm a lefty. That'll probably be on the other side. want to make sure that you're in top viewport inside of Piles Editor. So we're looking, we're looking through this from the top or from the bottom, however you want to say it. The slider here is related to that on top viewpoint. Now at 0, you're at the very bottom, all the way up to the top. This is a top perspective. So what we want to do to create this frame is basically pick a material here from the Edit tab, and we can just go with stone, and we're going to grab the pen tool, and we're basically going to make an outline all the way, just on the outside, for the very first and the very last layer. So we're at 0 right now. So then 0 plus 9 is 10 layers. So we'll do the same thing here. So now you've basically got, if you look from the side, you see it. You can see that it's basically running through the hole from the top to the bottom. So, whatever size is fine. Really, any material work. I've got a special material for you guys today that I wouldn't normally recommend, but terrain or wood blocks, whatever. You just basically want something that's going to hold until you're done working on this. So then you just save this as whatever. What I would do is, depending on what you're working on, I would actually give this the name of the building. If you're doing something, say, in Compo and Vanilla, it's already got all of its information about zombies and loot, and everything is basically all there. If you save that under a different name and keep that aside, you can reattach it, give the original name to this frame, and then I'll show you, we'll do the import, and then you save it, and you can actually import those zombie volumes back in. You may need to adjust them, but they will work. It's what the way that I do it. Okay, so let's jump over to the game, and I've already got my frame in. So give me a second here to load. Okay, guys, we're in. As you can see, there's our frame. Now, if I go to bounds, you can see this is the larger one. You go to show bounds, you can see how large this is. Now, one thing, if you're not used to the prefab editor with the green boxes, I think it confuses a lot of people. If you go to and hit F3, it brings up that dialog box. On the lower left, there's one called Selection. If you select this box, boom, you get the name and the position size, which is very useful. So now we've got this frame created, which will basically stay static. We can go ahead and put anything that we want in here. So I'm going to show you really fast. We're going to basically start to import pieces we want, and then when we're finished and we have whatever it is that we want, you can either use this to maintain sets and then cut out the pieces you want. What I normally do is make multiple copies of this and then just delete the pieces, and again, when I get rid of this frame, I'm just left with my single pieces, kind of like a toy frame, like a plastic mold almost. So I hit the Z button to bring that selection up. Now, if you're not familiar with the tools, let me get rid of this F3. If you go into Escape and hit Help while you're in Prefab, a lot of people don't know about this, but there's a whole, second set of controls that you can find in here. So basically everything I'm showing you that we're going through here now is all here. I would really recommend that you get familiar with these, because really they'll become second nature to you, and it makes automating a lot of the work and doing processes faster. It just takes that part out of it, and it doesn't take quite as long to do stuff. You can get pretty quick at it. So, okay, I went ahead and brought up the selection box. So now hitting the G button, you'll see the arrows come up. Now you can either control this from WASD. I'm a lefty, so I use the arrows, or you can hold G and basically grab this with the mouse and just drag it around up and down. So what we want to do is we want to move this selection box into the center, because we're going to bring a prefab in. We're going to import the prefab basically starting at that block in the same way. I think it's like northeast corner. Which reminds me, you do want to probably be facing north so that you've got a good idea for the building that I'm trying to save. And I might drag a dozen different buildings in to grab and clip different parts or look at textures together. Just, it's for something to look at for an idea, whatever it is. I may pull them in here, but the piece that I'm actually planning on saving from it, those I always try to make sure I face them right from the beginning. So I want to be facing north and make sure that I rotate it to my north side. So we've got the block there. You're going to go to the prefab browser here in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to show you guys a building I'm working on. Came from a guy named Zinkoza in Topminder's set. And Zinkoza, if you're out there, your stuff is brilliant. I really like these buildings a lot. I know Cinder and Jax at Ravenhurst like your stuff as well. So we are in D. So I'm going to import a variation of one of Zinkoza's buildings that I'm fooling around with right now. So you notice the block is basically empty. Now, if you were to save right here, you'd end up with an empty block. You wouldn't have anything. So you're going to need to rotate this around. So with the X button, you'll see I want to get the street side facing me. You just keep rotating this. And now, depending on the size of the piece you're importing, that can be a little bit slow. So you do have to be a little bit patient with the editor. But generally speaking, it goes pretty quickly. So now I know I've got this faced the way that I want. Now this isn't in yet. Again, this is the piece that I know that I'm going to be modifying and keeping. So I could save this from the prompt, but what I usually do, just to be sure, is I save this here. I verify that it's saved. I actually jump out because I want to make sure that this one stays. You'll be pulling in a lot of pieces where you can just copy and paste, save it once, and then chop the other junk out. But I always try to hard save this one, kind of as like a save stage. Okay, so we now have our building in, and we've got the terrain. And I can talk about the terrain. When you chop terrain up inside this frame, it'll get really blocky sometimes. And it'll get just flat. They'll look like cement blocks. There's a step in here that I can show you that will actually fix that. So watch. Like if we run this over, I know a lot of people have a problem, have this problem, basically making prefabs in general. But you'll notice, see how I made that selection block and it brought that density right down. Now another tool here with the selection is I've moved that around. If I hit Shift and if I hit G, I can move the whole thing. But if I hit, let me see. If I hit G, it moves around. If I hit Shift and G, you can change the size and pick and drag. Now watch when we move this. See how it takes the density right out of the block? Watch as it moves. See how it does that? So now people get stuck with this and they don't know what to do, and that's really, you don't want to finish the prefab that way. So there's actually a button in the editor that I'll show you quickly. We'll get rid of that. I believe, where is it? Clean densities is the name of the function. So you hit that button and boom, our terrain is back to brandy new. So cool. So now we've got our building in. I tried this demo before, and I tried something with water in it, and the sprites, the leftover noise from the water, caused a problem for the end of this. So just for this demo, let's say, hey, somebody wants, say, a garage. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cute, but needs a garage. So you can pretty much grab any garage from in-game that you think will fit. We'll just grab a small one here. Now when you do this, you want to make sure that you just select it, and then you're looking for the load into button. If you load it, it's going to close this completely, and it's not what you want to do. So you want to select that. Make sure you've got the blue block on the screen. That's your import point. We go load into, and there's our prefab. So again, the same thing. I won't save this the same way, but again, now we might want some of this. This is only a single block, so I could either grab the building. I could probably put this whole piece in. Most of the time I wouldn't do that, but in this case we'll just stack this one in onto a normal base like it should have. Let's see. You do want to be sure. Okay. I normally don't do it this way. You got to make sure that you line up and just basically rotate that around. So you can always end up with not sprites, but some height differences. So you always have to be careful there. But I mean, this is fairly useful to be able to drop. Now you could edit this. This is kind of a quick and easy. So let's rotate this around. You can usually get a pretty good view. You make sure that your ground lines up. Okay, good. So the ground lines up now. And we can fix that after, that density. So now, cool. We've got the garage that we want. What I would normally do when I'm adding pieces in is not save this whole thing like this. I want to make sure that it works first. So I'm going to turn show bounds off. Double check this. Now we'll go back to that clean the density. Okay. So yeah, we still have a little bit to change there, but you get the general idea. That hasn't changed the footprint enough. We've got our building, so let's say, okay, great. This was just a fast import. Get it to match really quickly. Again, this is a fast and dirty. You can spend days on these, but I'm just kind of making an example here. Love the new textures, Fun Pimps. Great job. Okay, we've got that there. Grab this. Maybe we'll do a change. And there's a lot of really great universal textures and a lot of really great universal pieces now. So like, I mean, look at how quickly we just added. And again, I just kind of crammed it in there. But, you know, you have the freedom here to, you know, you've got the road there, and then you can basically just select, using the G button, and then that drag tool. Go into your creative and grab asphalt. The L button is the fill button. So you've got that selected. Make sure you're on the asphalt. Bang. You've got that connected. Now we save this. We've got everything we wanted. You can do anything that you want in here. Now we haven't changed the zombie volume in this original building. So whatever you had here, if you named it back to the original, you'd have to double check it, but it should work. And again, if there is a zombie volume in here, you can actually add those together. You know, you have to play with it a little bit, but it's a lot less work than recreating those. And in a lot of cases, like with Zinko's set, this is such a nice set that I did rebuild most of them just to match the ones that he had because they were just so nicely done. So, okay, we've got this saved. I actually saved that twice. So now the problem that we have is we want to play test this, but we've got this giant frame on here. What are we going to do, guys? You know, we've got this giant frame. So I think we're going to have to cut the frame off. I would normally just use the selection tool, but because this is a video and because it's been a lousy year, 2020, you guys, we're going to do this KISS style. So, yeah, let's get the frame off. This is probably going to be choppy as anything. Oh, that was great. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to look at that. We've got scrap hanging around and everything. This is awesome. I'm going to dedicate this next one to Jax. This one's for you, Jax. Happy 2021. A couple of weeks early. Okay, awesome. Great. So I hope that came through. Looks like we don't have any debris hanging around. There's no debris hanging around our prefab here. Now let's go ahead and check the footprint. Let me see. I thought I saw something hanging around here. Yep, look at that. We've got a single block floating in space. Okay. So now that we've got that clear, we're going to go ahead and clean the densities of the ground. So that should be good. And then we're going to update the bounds. Boom. So now we've got these together. Oh, that second one's still in there because I didn't save. Okay, so let's save. Okay. So now this should be right. We are back in. I had to jump out and jump back in. Yep, we are now under one prefab. So check this out. In a single step. So yeah, I just had to save that. And there you have it. You know, you can combine those volumes back in using Piles Editor. Just edit the XMLs. We've got that cut off. But it's a really good way to set and save. If you could leave this in any state and walk away and come back a week later and pick back up. Really good way to just quickly put stuff together. So I hope this was useful to you guys. If you have any questions, comments, always look forward to reading those. Hope you guys have a great holiday. I might try to put out a couple more videos this week. As always, thanks for stopping by, and look out for more videos. Crunch out.